Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Jeff Fisher, founder of the Ride the Wave Foundation, author of WaveMaker book, and he blends real-world experience with a heart for inspiring others to rise above life's challenges. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor, pleasure.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Jeff. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how you have transformed your adversity into making this whole impact for a lot of people and businesses. We'll talk all about this. But before that, let's talk a bit about your journey, your background, so that audience knows who they are listening to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you having me on. So I am from Parsippany, New Jersey. I was born in Morristown, and I grew up with my brother and my mom and stepfather, Ralph. I didn't take the traditional path out of high school. I partied a little bit and kind of wasn't focused there. So I didn't go right to college. I did retail jobs. I had a knack for sales. So I was selling cell phones at Singular Wireless, met somebody that owned a staffing agency. I was selling him a BlackBerry. He liked me, and I started to develop my career based on that. But I had a lot of focus issues and challenges when I was young. It took me a little while to figure out exactly what I wanted to do, but when I did, it really took off well, and I have a passion for it now.
Absolutely. And then one encounter, it changed everything, sparked a movement to end homelessness. Tell us a bit about that encounter. What was there anything else in between that changed your life, or was it this encounter which changed the course of your life?
Yeah, good question. It was a series of things that added up to, but Daryl, who I had met, and that interaction was a catalyst. It was something that really surged the spirit within me. I own a company, NTK Equipment. And NTK Equipment, I'm the owner. We do process equipment, mixers, tanks, things that go into processing plants for food, beverage, pharma. I understood the importance early on to create a good culture, get to the bottom of the culture of the company. Ray Marone, the original owner, named the company after his three daughters, Nicole, Kathleen, and Kristen. No, Kristen and Kathleen, I'm sorry. He is a very upbeat person. Very high energy, the most positive person I ever met consistently, and a really good mentor. He was known for that. And when I purchased the company from him, he built a really good network of loyal customers. So I wanted to figure out a way to encapsulate Ray and those positive, really ethics that he had and what he brought to the table into the culture of the company. While I was seeking that culture, and signed up to go to the Entree Leadership Conference in Nashville in 2023. It was a real surprise and a blessing that I came across Wave. When Ray and I were going strong, we used to say, "You're riding the wave?" "Yeah, you're riding the wave." So the concept came on a plane ride back from the foundation. But while I was seeking the culture, I had met a couple unlikely friendships. So Mark Robinson, who's the co-host, and he's the community manager, relationship manager for Ride the Wave. He's somebody that has dreads, black gentleman, very different lifestyle than me completely. I met a young guy, Lorenzo, in Morristown, New Jersey, who I befriended, who was an unlikely friendship, but he was selling splash paintings outside on the street. And I liked him. We took a liking to each other. I paid him what I thought he was worth. I thought he was very talented. Met Mark through him. I actually hired Mark to do a little design work because he does hand sketching, and that's a passion of his. He's an artist. So that relationship started to develop, and it was somebody that I normally wouldn't talk to. And I realized that we have some things in common that I normally wouldn't have thought. And, people are really great. They just are going through a rough time, and everybody has a unique angle to bring to the table. So I was walking across the street from where my mom lives to get a drink at a convenience store. There was a beat up van that was sitting there. And a few days before, I have seen it before. And this is where I grew up riding my bike in town. And I noticed the van and somebody sleeping in the passenger seat. Looked like he was in rough shape. Went into the convenience store, got a drink, came out. As I was walking back to my mom's, I felt something come over me like a wave and a voice. Go check on the person in the van. So I decided to respond. I decided to, first there was some fear or, yeah, maybe I shouldn't. It's me going up to some, but I did it. I pushed through. I decided to ride the wave, and I knocked on the window, asked Daryl, his name is Daryl, if there's anything that he needed, got his story. It was a beautiful interaction. It really was amazing. I told him to wait right there. I went back in. I was going to get him some food. Wave came over me to just give him some cash just for the night so he can get a room and clean up. I normally don't do anything like that. When I did that, he cried. It was very emotional. For me, it was something else. I felt something in me that was different. I felt like the interaction was different. There almost is a formula to it. A few months later, I haven't seen Daryl. I accidentally took his number wrong. I go with my wife, Kristen. We're driving to my mom's house, and there the van is. Swing around with my wife, Kristen, in the car to check on him. He looked better when I saw him. Vibrant, kind of cuts in his shoulders. His eyes were clearer, much better shape. He said the interaction changed his life. And not long after, he had a back check of disability. And he was really low, really, really depressed. Lost his home because he lost his job. That was something where my wife saw me get emotional, that really hit hard. And I realized that I had a passion for it. And there's something to it. And that's what's missing is the action, us wearing the shoes and going to talk to people. So the WaveMaker book is a repurposed story of my interaction with Daryl, with principles to teach people how to approach others in the street and get that confidence that they wouldn't, so we can get out there. Because the tagline is the path is to the person. Because I know and I feel that my connections to people, when I get to understand them and connect with them and know them, aside from technology, it fills my spirit, fills me up. That next day, I was scheduled to go to Entree Leadership. Ramsey Solutions has it in Tennessee. I was going off the energy at Daryl, and I go to this conference. I start circulating it at a high level, and people are feeling it. They really understand what's good. Like, they like it a lot. And I'm thinking there's something to this. Ken Coleman, who's a personality on the Ken Coleman Show, he has a podcast too. Really great guy. He spoke at the event, and he did an amazing job. Long story short, I was at a sponsorship breakfast on Thursday, which was a smaller event. He spoke there. Every top leaders all over the world, Chick-fil-A, like great leaders, good principles. I'm sitting there. It was a good talk, and felt a wave come over me again as he was leaving. Everybody's sitting down. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get up and do this. I chased him down the hallway as he was in between. Ken, my name is Jeff. Really love your organization. I thought your speaking was great. I had an encounter recently, and I have a thought initially on maybe a foundation. Can I share it with you? Got emotional. He connected. I felt like he understood, and there was an energy to the connection with him. He listened very well, and it really propelled me into pursuing it full on after that. The plane ride home, the concept came. I wrote it down and have not stopped. The website was developed. It was formed June 2023. Podcast went from 0 to 100K subscribers in just 6 months. We're really pursuing it with a very small team, but we have the passion and feel like it's a unique way, even go to market, because it does tie into NCK equipment. And we could be thought leaders within our industry on the business end as well, too, because we could tie it into cross marketing. You could have it on your logo. It could be your staple with your business as a leader, presenting your purpose. And, we're developing that as well. So it's a hybrid. It could go to business, and it could also go to people.
Right, Jeff. So if anyone has to understand, Ride the Wave Foundation, what would you want them to understand about it?
So our grand commitment is to build an all-inclusive, modern campus for people experiencing homelessness, drug addiction, anything like that. Somewhere where they could go almost like a university, be accepted, spend enough time for true reform on site. The problem is, what we've uncovered is that even if somebody has a voucher for a house who is homeless, there's a wide variety of various resources that they have to go through, or places that they have to get certain things, maybe food somewhere, clothing, something like that. So it's very difficult. Transportation, filling out applications. The system's set up where it has people bouncing around. We need one spot to take care of somebody, give them the tools and the resources that they need. Something that's community-based and has the principles of things that I love, like servant leadership, business leadership, things like that, that have formulas and that are well documented, like instead of, maybe social work, life coaching, things like that, that are just more innovative and modern and humane. Culture is so important too. These places don't make people feel like they're wanted. There's too much red tape. So the purpose and the grand commitment of the campus is really to cut the tape to that and have something we can replicate. In order to get there, we're going to leverage Mark and I, the co-host, recognition from the podcast as it grows, money from the podcast, money from a book, which we're going to do a series on, donations and grants to fund the organization. And actually, there's a way to repurpose money into NTK organization to put it into the equipment company if it sells through the book and the podcast. So we found an interesting model to have future revenue streams that could put us in a position to be able to get the right people, build a good network, and make this financially happen. People like John Gordon, Jon Gordon. If you go to johngordon.com, I have a very great support. Amy Kelly, speaker and author. Ed Milet is friends with John. He's in the leadership and positive space. So yeah, there's just so many various avenues. When I met Daryl and this opened up, I'm very excited about the opportunity and confident in my ability to lead it.
Right. That's a very big project, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Means when do you see it actually coming on the ground, or something has already come up on the ground?
So we're going slow. The vision's there. We don't want to put the cart before the horse. So each year we have a project plan, and we're going step by step. The goal is within the next 3 years to have a concept drawing, a partnership potentially, or have an understanding of a firm that will go through, maybe a contractor or a location. But we have to go step by step and kind of deal with what comes at us. As we develop, our network is forming. We're receiving our network nicely. And it's funny because people that are coming on the show, on the back end, the guests, we can connect the guests. There's been foundations that have come on that we've been able to do that with. People that have showcased their talents. There's a guy that did spoken word that came on. The platform itself is a safe haven for anyone to come on and talk about anything about their lives, and really talk about homelessness too. Because the first step to get to the campus is to leverage the platform to get people's stories out, so there's an understanding and there's something we can do about it.
Absolutely. But homelessness is a big task. Building one campus means it is where the government has to come forward if they want to really impact, or a huge community effort is required. And it is not that easy, homelessness sort of a thing. How do you keep yourself motivated about all this, Jeff? Means, do you feel this task as, can you actually, do you realize how big this task is and what you have taken up in hand?
I do. And I feel like God has blessed me. He's given me a gift. I've had, to go into adversity. In my life, I was diagnosed with bipolar. I had some manic episodes and things like that. I went for, a late start. even though I was social and, connected with people, there was on the back end insecurities, depression, things like that may have never come through, or people may have not noticed. But I kind of stepped into something that's it's a new paradigm in a way. And I think that you could, from the inside out, create a paradigm through self-development from the inside out. And we project our world, and that's how it comes from. So from the inside out, when it comes to the government, and it comes from the top down, or like anything like that, what's happening now is not working. And at the end of the day, this country was built on people. It was built, the power is in the people. So how this could be implemented is growing the show organically, but community-based from the inside out, inspiring other people to pursue nonprofits. If a business really did tie in a foundation or a community niche into their brand, and they did it, every business would have something they would be doing in the community. Every person could go $300 for LLC, get a nonprofit on LegalZoom and contribute. So really, it would be us going through the motions. One good thing about the show, we could leverage recognition if we bump into anything that's negative. If we're trying to build a campus and we're getting pushback from the government or from anybody else, or ridiculous red tape and bureaucracy or fines or static, we could maybe leverage the platform to, whether it's surveys or, pursue with the finances, because at the end of the day, it's an economic paradigm, right? They're taking away generational wealth. You got to crack that glass ceiling. And that's another thing where I get my motivation. I feel like I'm in a unique position, and there's a lane with Wave to leave a legacy and to go above and beyond anything that I ever thought in my life. And I feel like it's a responsibility within my family for me to do that, because they're taking away generational wealth. And you gotta, if I could shatter that glass ceiling, get in the level with John, which I feel like I can navigate after talking with Ken and John, who I met, John Maxwell, people like that. I don't know. I just feel like victory is ours and love wins. It's just a matter of us stepping into it. But it has to be, I think personally, individuals like you, individuals like me, anybody that has a passion and a unique angle and go full on to pursue. This is my life's passion. I'm never going to stop. I could never stop and live with myself. I'd rather live with the pain and discipline than the pain of deep regret later on, for sure. And the challenges that's going to come with such a major project like this.
Absolutely, Jeff. Let's talk about your book, WaveMaker. Tell us a bit about. I can understand Ride the Wave and WaveMaker. I have heard about Rainmaker, WaveMaker. Who is the WaveMaker here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, really, like I had said, that is that repurposed story of me and Daryl's interaction. Had to have some fluff on there. It wasn't a nice oak tree or nothing like that. My mom wasn't even cooking, but I think that because it's a real interaction, and because of the source of where it came from, that's the reason why just this whole thing is going to be successful, because it was a pure, genuinely good source. So following that story is just a set of principles, ways that you could position yourself in order to wear the shoes, like radiate positivity, and some strategies around that. The art of asking questions is one of the principles. It's so important to have an understanding how to formulate questions, and to not be afraid to do so in order to learn and to spark up conversations and dialogue and things like that. So that's really the gist of what it is. And we're going to leverage the book to provide training, to provide a training program that'll be monetized for anybody that would want to purchase it. However, homeless or underprivileged people will get it for free, because you can read the book, do the training, and it all ties into the campus, and it ties into the dynamics of the podcast too. And we created a sub channel for the book on YouTube, just YouTube. We have a bunch of social media channels. So what we did was I took the WaveMaker book. We made the WaveMaker channel. So basically any principles or anything that are applicable, we'll put shorts up that tie into the principles of the book in order to try to motivate and help people to move forward with those principles and use them. But it's nice because it connects to the main YouTube page where there's a trailer and it explains what we're doing. So everything that we're doing, every strategy, whatever it is, points to cutting the ribbon on the campus, essentially. I was even talking to Mark recently about us franchising cafes that are very unique, themed to Wave. Underprivileged people work there, but maybe when you're sitting down, it'll have a little piece of paper with a barcode. And if you do that, you could donate to the campus, or pictures of outreaches that we've done, or just, foundational community-based stuff in a nice design, and then leverage that for money. There's just so many opportunities right now. It's I experienced some challenges with NCK equipment about a year ago. We were moving quick. It was small processing mistakes that led to cash flow. So still dealing with that. So it's really resources right now, us balancing that out. But I think when we do and we're able to recover, hopefully we'll be all right. We're gonna see. But
Absolutely. What are you conveying to the business people and entrepreneurs? How do they get involved in the project? That is where they can actually make a huge difference to the society through this project of yours.
Do you mean the training that would be forward-facing business people aside from? So that's early concept. That was something that was recently came through that vision, and then I reached out, put together a high-level plan, and sent it to the Gordon companies. That would be something where I think, as a leader or an owner, sitting down with certain workshops or processes to help get to the bottom of a purpose, or something that person or individual really wants to contribute to the world, and then walking them through how to create, maybe outsource certain things, a nonprofit that aligns with that, but also come up with a plan and walk them through how to cross-market that, uniquely tied into language. Because even for negotiation purposes with an NCK, when Wave was discovered and we're tying in the culture, we're able to cross-market it. It allowed me to negotiate outstanding invoices from those issues that normally we would get in trouble for. And I think, so I've gotten to the point where language-wise, I'm able to speak about it to really anybody, any age, any race, creed, it doesn't matter. I joke around sometimes with friends, not trying to be too cocky. If we're out, point somebody out, it really hits everybody. The business end, though, I really see a way to tighten it up, because those principles are so, if you were to use them at work, radiate positive, do all those things, they tie into everything, into business and real life. So, there's a way right now with NCK equipment, if you go to our social media there, slowly, because we're a young company, or I'm a new owner, slowly segueing language around tying in Ride the Wave culturally to NCK equipment. And it's what fuels our team. It gives us the motivation. So it puts the leader in a position to really, everybody's clear on the vision. The individuals that work there could be involved in the foundation as well and feel like they have a purpose instead of just doing a 9 to 5. They know that a percentage of their work and their output is going to something that's really great. It also allows you to filter in the type of people that you want to work with you, because if they don't like your culture or the foundation, or they don't seem into it, that's sort of a red flag too. But I think that like if you go to our NTK equipment logo on our site, it says fueled by Wave. So it's attached to our logo there. And when somebody clicks on it, it goes to Ride the Wave. So one hand washes the other there, essentially. And, you could cross sponsor it. I could mention NCK on the podcast. You never know who's listening. There might be somebody in the industry that takes a look at the website and we could do business.
Absolutely. There's so much to learn and do about homelessness and so many things that you are doing. I'm sure a lot of people would want to learn more about all this and connect with you. Also, learn from your book as well as podcast. What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, if you go to www.ridethewave.org, that's the best way. Everything's in there, a full description of the formation, to buy the book, all the platforms for the podcast. And if you want, and you go down the bottom to the contact page to be a guest on the podcast, you can fill that out or reach out, volunteer. Anything right now comes to me. So if you just put a note on where you heard about the show or anything like that, the foundation, we could really use any volunteers or donations at this time. So yeah, reach out. I'm glad to brainstorm or do anything, because at this point, I'm not trying to hold back, because if anybody is doing something like this, more the merrier. It's great.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much. You take care.